I've always tried to stay away from that, but now that I'm running out of ideas more and more, I tend to do that. I find myself having to come up with explanations for it, so I thought I'd, prevent that this time.
Kurt Cobain's passing in 1994 shocked the world. But what was found inside his Seattle mansion afterwards stunned even his closest fans. Beyond the headlines and rumors, the house held secrets that offered new perspectives on the troubled legend's final days. What did those private belongings and hidden details truly reveal about the man behind Nirvana's success? From intimate diaries to overlooked artifacts, the discoveries challenged many assumptions and added depth to Kurt's story. They exposed the complexities of fame, mental health, and creativity in ways few expected. The haunting discoveries within. When investigators first entered Kurt Cobain's Seattle mansion following his death in 1994, they encountered a scene filled with personal belongings and items that revealed much more than just a tragic end. Among the possessions were handwritten notes, a trove of letters, and various artifacts that spoke to the complexity of the man behind the public persona. These discoveries immediately drew attention, stirring curiosity about what deeper truths might lie hidden amid the personal effects. Some of the most compelling finds included sketches and fragments of lyrics scattered across notebooks and loose pages. These pieces offered a glimpse into Kurt's creative mind during his final days, showing both his passion and the turmoil he was experiencing. Fans and experts alike were struck by the rawness and vulnerability these writings conveyed, transforming how many perceived his state of mind. In addition to written materials, investigators found items that reflected Kurt's lifestyle and struggles, like prescription medication and various tools that seemed to serve as both coping mechanisms and outlets for artistic expression. These tangible remnants of his life gave weight to the narrative of a young man wrestling with pain while desperately holding on to his art. The items spoke more loudly than mere reports or hearsay ever could. The initial reactions from media and fans were intense. News outlets highlighted the eerie nature of the belongings, painting a portrait of a haunted genius quietly battling demons behind closed doors. At the same time, some people felt a renewed empathy for Kurt, understanding that his life was far more complicated than the headlines had suggested. Private moments, seen only through these artifacts, humanized him in new ways. Among the items were also photographs and personal mementos that had emotional resonance, grounding Kurt's story in real relationships and memories. These objects hinted at his connections to family, friends, and the people who influenced his music and life. Each discovery seemed to draw a more intricate map of the man beyond the icon, revealing a side that was often overshadowed by fame. The presence of such intimate items also raised questions about privacy and respect. While fans and journalists were eager for insight, there was a palpable tension about how far to go in exposing vulnerability. The mansion turned into a bittersweet museum of sorts, where admiration collided with sorrow and the weight of loss. These findings shaped public conversation about Kurt Cobain in profound ways. Rather than merely focusing on the circumstances of his death, people began to explore the depth of his experiences and the struggles that defined much of his life. In this way, the objects became more than artifacts. They were keys to understanding a cultural moment and a troubled artist's final chapter. The discovery of such personal effects sparked a reassessment of Kurt's legacy, influencing future biographies, documentaries, and retrospectives. Scholars and fans would return to these items repeatedly, finding new meaning over time. The mansion's contents represented an ever-evolving narrative about mental health, creativity, and the pressures of fame. Though these objects told part of the story, many left the public eager to know even more about Kurt's inner world. The atmosphere of the house itself seemed to hold secrets, quietly witnessed by those who visited after his passing. The mansion's unique emotional presence added another layer to the discoveries found within its walls. Kurt Cobain's personal journals. Among the most revealing discoveries in Kurt Cobain's home were his personal journals, which provided a window into his thoughts, fears, and creative process. These handwritten entries were far from polished lyrics. They were raw, candid reflections that unveiled a mind wrestling with depression, addiction, and the crushing weight of fame. For anyone seeking to understand Kurt beyond the headlines, the journals became invaluable. The journals documented a deeply introspective side of Kurt, showing a man struggling to reconcile his public image with private pain. Passages conveyed confusion, frustration, and longing, often interspersed with poetic phrases and stray ideas for songs. Fans and researchers found these writings to be heartbreakingly honest, revealing a vulnerability rarely seen in his recorded music. The writing style shifted frequently, revealing changes in mood and mindset. There were days marked by despair and hopelessness, alongside moments of creativity and beauty. This oscillation mapped a turbulent emotional landscape, painting a picture of a man caught between brilliance and suffering. The journals were a testament to his ongoing struggle, rather than a clear roadmap to his final decisions. Some entries alluded to specific personal relationships and conflicts, offering context to tensions long rumored in media accounts. These glimpses into his interactions with family, friends, and bandmates helped clarify the complexities of his social world. Yet, Kurt's writings often circled back to feelings of isolation and alienation, underscoring a recurring theme of disconnection from those around him. Notably, the journals had reflections, like a kind of late-night rumination about fame and the music industry, and with Kurt, you can feel both frustration and disillusionment at once. He was stuck wrestling with what people expected from him, and also the strain of being a reluctant spokesperson for an entire generation, which kind of didn't fit. That inner push-pull kept showing up as a motif, and you start seeing how the whole celebrity thing weighed heavy on his well-being, more than he probably wanted to admit. Also, the personal notebooks came with sketches and symbolic drawings, sometimes right alongside the words, as if the page itself needed extra language. These little visual bursts ranged from dark and somber to oddly whimsical in a way that makes the creativity feel layered, not just one note. It sort of implies Kurt used the journals not only for record-keeping, but to metabolize feelings in multiple directions. When bits and pieces from the journals were later published or mentioned in documentaries, it sparked conversations about mental health and the stigma around it. Kurt's openness, even in writings that were supposedly private, hit people hard because many readers felt like their own struggles were being echoed back at them. In a sense, the journals helped widen the cultural talk toward empathy and a steadier kind of understanding for people facing similar battles. And still, even if the journals were deeply personal, they ended up acting like a bridge, connecting fans to Kurt's humanity. They chipped away at the myth of the untouchable rock star and instead showed a fragile, searching individual. Those pages, for better or worse, sounded louder than any interview, inviting you into a private place full of pain and passion, and somehow also a stubborn hope. Even as the journals revealed his inner battles, the mansion itself held an atmosphere that magnified the weight of these words and objects. The mansion's atmosphere and ambiance. Those who visited or investigated Kurt Cobain's mansion noted an intense emotional atmosphere permeating the space, as if the walls themselves carried the echoes of the life lived within. The home was more than just a setting. It became a silent witness to a complicated story of creativity, struggle, and sorrow. This ambiance left a lasting impression on everyone who stepped inside after his death. The mansion appeared lived in, but frozen in time, with personal items left untouched and rooms that reflected a mixture of chaos and care. The contrast between everyday belongings and signs of distress painted a vivid picture of a life filled with contradictions. Observers commented on the haunting quietness, a space heavy with absence, yet stubbornly brimming with presence. Details like worn furniture, scattered papers, and walls adorned with posters and art recorded the personality of their owner. These objects preserved traces of Kurt's aesthetic and spirit, making the house feel like an extension of his inner world. The intimate setting allowed visitors to sense layers of emotion, from fleeting joy to deep despair. The house's layout and lighting contributed to the feeling of isolation and confinement. Small rooms and dim corners seemed to mirror the claustrophobia Kurt might have felt. The interplay of light and shadow in the space accentuated a mood of melancholy, amplifying the narrative told by the possessions found inside. Those close to Kurt, friends and family members, later described the mansion as a place that felt kinda charged with memories and stuff, both painful and tender. Their accounts sort of reinforced that the home didn't just sit there, it held the essence of a turbulent chapter that was also deeply creative in his life. For them, it was more than a physical space. It was like a repository of legacy, plain and simple. Investigators and biographers apparently sensed that the mansion's emotional weight affected their work. The quiet solemnity kept pressing on them, so they had to think beyond dates and facts, and also, feelings. That is how their approach shifted into something more empathetic when documenting Kurt's final days, trying to honor his complexity instead of boiling him down into pure tragedy. Visitors often reported this surreal experience as if time had slowed down or space had folded itself in. The wrong way, maybe. That sense of suspended reality seemed to match the contradictions of Kurt's existence, largely public but painfully private. The house became a metaphor for the thin boundary between life and death, between creativity and destruction and all that. And the ambient energy inside the mansion kept influencing how Kurt's story got told in media, shaping portrayals that balanced admiration with sensitivity. The space basically acted like a character too, shaping perceptions and giving context that is often missing in conventional narratives, even when people think they covered everything. This haunting atmosphere set the stage for reflections from those who knew him personally, offering deeper insights into the significance of what was found inside. Family and friends' recollections. The personal belongings and atmosphere inside Kurt Cobain's mansion deeply affected those who knew him best. Family members and close friends, prompting reflections that added new layers of understanding to his life and struggles. Many who had shared intimate moments with Kurt described the home as a mirror of his state of mind. Familiar, yet fractured, vibrant, yet heavy with unspoken pain. Their memories revealed the tensions between Kurt's public image and private reality, which surfaced vividly through the findings left behind. Courtney Love, Kurt's wife, often spoke about the house as a sanctuary that held both warmth and darkness. She remembered how Kurt retreated there from the pressures of fame, seeking comfort, but also confronting his inner demons. The belongings uncovered after his death reinforced her view of him as a deeply creative soul wrestling with vulnerability, rather than just the troubled icon the media portrayed. Friends recalled Kurt's ongoing battles with addiction and mental health, struggles that seemed etched into the spaces he inhabited. They described the mansion as a place where moments of laughter coexisted uneasily with episodes of despair. These personal accounts helped illuminate the complex emotional landscape behind the artifacts found, showing a man desperately trying to hold his world together. Bandmates, too, reflected on how the mansion represented a turning point for Kurt. It was a physical space that bore witness to his creative genius, but also to increasing isolation. They noted how the writings and objects found there echoed conversations about his frustrations with fame and internal conflicts, giving tangible form to struggles that had often gone unspoken. Family members had painted a picture of this young man, torn between loving the people close by and that deep need for being alone. The mansion was described as a refuge, but also like a trap. And it kind of kept showing that same contradiction, right at the middle of Kurt's life. Those observations then gave extra weight to what they later found inside his home. It made clear there were real human struggles behind all those public headlines. Lots of people who were close to Kurt said it was hard to make sense of the vibrant spirit they remembered with what the silent mansion seemed to keep. The physical remnants of his daily life really underscored the tragedy of a talent that disappeared too soon, and it stirred this mix of sorrow and genuine respect. That emotional tangle shaped the way they recalled him, not only as a rock star, but as a friend, husband, and son in the plainest sense. What they said also made it clear that the items were not just leftovers or relics. They were markers, like signposts, pointing to relationships and shared histories. Photos, letters, and gifts held stories that the people who loved Kurt kept close. In a way, the mansion became a kind of living memory bank, saving connections that lasted past his life. And when those nearest to him looked back, the contents helped round out the image of a man formed by both love and pain. Their voices carried compassion alongside the factual discoveries, and it reminded everyone that behind every artifact, there's still a person, with hopes, fears, and dreams that no headline can fully fit. The personal stories breathed life into the objects discovered, creating a vivid, emotional tapestry that connected Kurt's inner world to those who understood it best. Music and artifacts left behind. Within the walls of Kurt Cobain's home, the most poignant reminders of his genius were found in the instruments, song notes, and artistic pieces he left behind. These items were not only sentimental, but also powerful symbols of his creative spirit. Electric guitars, sheet music littered with edits, and half-finished lyrics provided a direct link to the artistry that shaped a generation and revealed the intensity behind his work. Many of Kurt's iconic Fender guitars were discovered along with amplifiers and pedals, some still showing signs of use. These were the tools that helped craft Nirvana's signature sound, the raw yet melodic voice of a generation's discontent. Handling these instruments, one could almost hear the echoes of legendary performances and the quiet moments of private practice. Song notebooks contained scribbles and crossed-out phrases, pointing to a restless perfectionism and a quest for authentic expression. Several pages revealed songs that never made it to an album, giving fans rare insight into his creative process and the evolving nature of his music. This unfinished work suggested that even in his final days, Kurt was still reaching, still creating. Besides music-related objects, various personal artifacts filled the home. A collection of art books, posters, and trinkets reflected his influences and aesthetic tastes. These items showed a man deeply engaged with visual as well as auditory inspiration, blending art forms to shape his unique identity. The eclectic mix of objects painted a portrait of an artist hungry for meaning beyond commercial success. One particularly notable find was Kurt's love for journals, used not only for writing, but for sketching and collaging images. These creative outlets offered glimpses into his emotional highs and lows, often capturing contradictions between hope and despair. The artifacts revealed his multifaceted talent and the therapeutic role of art in his life. The discovery of personal effects such as vintage clothing, stage outfits, and worn sneakers connected physical reality to the mythology of Kurt Cobain. These items humanized the icon, grounding his larger-than-life image in everyday experience. They reminded observers that behind the legend was a person navigating his own path. Equipment and memorabilia left in the mansion also fueled curiosity about unreleased projects and the directions Kurt might have taken had he lived longer. The tangible remnants of his career served as a portal to what might have been, adding poignancy to his legacy. Fans cherished these finds as pieces of a puzzle never fully completed. Together, the music and personal artifacts formed a complex mosaic of an artist's life, bridging public fame and intimate reality. Each piece told a fragment of the story, inviting deeper reflection on creativity, struggle, and the human cost of fame. These physical traces of Kurt's craft sparked not only admiration, but also debate and mystery, leading to alternative interpretations of his life and death. The objects preserved the passion and pain that defined Kurt Cobain's brief but unforgettable journey. Conspiracy theories and public speculation. The discoveries inside Kurt Cobain's mansion after his death inevitably sparked waves of conspiracy theories and public speculation that continue to this day. Some fans struggled to accept the official narrative surrounding his passing, fueled in part by ambiguous notes found among his belongings and inconsistencies in media reports. These objects, while deeply personal, were often interpreted through the lens of suspicion and mystery, adding fuel to alternative stories. One of the most discussed items was Kurt's self-harm note, which some claimed contained cryptic messages or was incomplete, prompting questions about his true state of mind. The rawness and disjointed nature of the note became a focal point for those doubting the official cause of death. This doubt was magnified by the intensity with which his legacy was guarded, leading some to suggest that unseen forces were at play. Photographs and letters revealed in the mansion's aftermath also became subject to intense scrutiny. Some individuals pieced together timelines and personal relationships, trying to decipher hidden motives or secret conflicts. This kind of investigation drew both skepticism and fascination, showing how deeply Kurt's story had permeated popular culture and collective curiosity. In public forums and fan communities, theories ranged widely, from claims of foul play to alternative views on the pressures Kurt faced in his final days. These debates were amplified by documentaries and books that sometimes questioned, intentionally or not, the accepted facts. The mansion's contents became a kind of puzzle box, with enthusiasts eager to decode each symbol or phrase. While conspiracy theorists engaged with these discoveries on one level, others saw in them a kind of testament to the tragic, complicated complexity of Kurt's life. The ambiguities were interpreted less as hard proof of cover-ups and more as reflections of the chaos and the confusion he lived through. In this light, uncertainty became sort of a natural piece of understanding a troubled genius, even if it made people uncomfortable. The persistence of these theories also signals how Kurt's death marked the end of an era, leaving a void that a lot of people filled with unanswered questions. His sudden loss at a young age made the urge stronger to find explanations that felt either more satisfying or just more likely. The objects and messages found in the mansion served as main focal points for these emotional investigations, the kind that pull people in. Even when some claims got exaggerated, the fascination with Kurt's life and death pushed deeper conversations about mental health, fame, and that constant artistic pressure. Arguments played out in public discourse about how society treats its icons and also about the fragility sitting behind the spotlight. So, in a sense, the mansion's discoveries became a catalyst for cultural reflection, and not only a headline. Over time, some purported clues were debunked, while others stayed open to interpretation. The mansion itself stood as a physical stage, where truth, myth, and memory sort of tangled together. And it was clear that Kurt's story, told through these leftovers, would keep inspiring debate for decades, even as details shifted around. Though speculation runs strong, the real impact is in how these discussions keep Kurt's legacy alive, letting fans and critics alike keep grappling with his enduring influence. The mansion's story did not end with theories, but moved into a chapter defined by change and remembrance. The mansion's fate after his death. Following Kurt Cobain's death, the fate of his Seattle mansion became a subject of considerable attention and transformation. The home, once a private refuge and creative space, quickly shifted into a public symbol of loss and legacy. Its physical condition and ownership changed as the spotlight on Kurt's life extended beyond his music to the preservation of his memory. Initially, the mansion remained largely untouched, retaining its solemn atmosphere which attracted visitors, journalists, and devoted fans hoping to connect with Kurt's spirit. However, as time passed, the house's state declined, with some reporting neglect and vandalism further complicating its role as a memorial of sorts. The building embodied a tension between private mourning and public remembrance. In response to this fading physical presence, those managing Kurt's estate sought to protect the mansion's significance while balancing practical concerns. Discussions emerged about whether to preserve, renovate, or repurpose the property. This reflected broader challenges of honoring a legendary figure while dealing with the realities of real estate and public intrusion. Eventually, the mansion was sold to new owners who took steps to remodel and update the home. These changes marked a poignant shift from its time as Kurt's personal sanctuary to a residence carrying a layered cultural legacy. The balance between respecting history and moving forward became central to how the property was treated. Even after the renovations, the house kept its symbolic weight, drawing occasional public interest and media coverage. It showed up in documentaries and biographies as this key location that kinda shaped Kurt's final chapter. For many, the mansion turned into a pilgrimage site, not really for sightseeing, but more for reflection on that fragile brilliance that once thrived there. The home also slid into conversations about the commercialization of celebrity landmarks. Fans debated how to honor Kurt in an authentic way without exploiting trauma or somehow diminishing the meaning of the space. Those debates highlighted the whole friction of maintaining integrity, while still dealing with the ongoing public fascination. In Seattle, the mansion became a small but noticeable piece of the city's cultural fabric, reminding residents and visitors alike of Kurt Cobain's impact. It signaled artistic innovation and also the often painful price that goes with it. The property's physical evolution mirrored how society wrestles with memory and legacy, kind of all at once. Today, the mansion keeps on existing as a silent testament to Kurt's story, holding a history that mixes private grief with collective remembrance. Its fate echoes the broader narrative of how places connected to iconic figures evolve after they pass, balancing preservation and change, even when everyone has a different idea of what respect should look like. Yet despite the renovations and passing years, a sense of curiosity still lingers around the property. The mansion remains tied to moments that shaped music history, carrying an emotional resonance difficult to erase. For many admirers, it stands as a reminder that some places outlive their original purpose and become part of a larger cultural memory. The echoes of what was found inside remain intertwined with the mansion's ongoing story, linking past and present in a profound way. Legacy reflected through the mansion. The Kurt Cobain mansion stands as more than just a former residence. It embodies the enduring legacy of a musician whose influence reshaped an entire generation. The personal effects and atmosphere preserved within its walls offer a tangible connection to Kurt's complex humanity, reminding us that behind the global fame was a deeply sensitive artist. Visitors and fans alike continue to see the mansion as a physical testament to his lasting impact on music and culture. Over the years, the home has symbolized both the alchemy of creativity and the cost that can accompany it. Through the belongings left behind, the journals, instruments, and personal mementos, the mansion narrates Kurt's story in ways no biography can fully capture. This physical space invites reflection on how art emerges from struggle and how the spaces we inhabit can hold the echoes of our lives. The mansion's presence has influenced how fans and musicians approach Kurt's work, inspiring countless tributes and creative endeavors. Many view it as a sacred site, not for tourism, but as a source of inspiration and humility. It reminds emerging artists of the fragility of genius and the importance of self-expression amid external pressures. Moreover, the mansion contributes to wider conversations about preserving artistic legacies. It challenges society to consider how to honor icons authentically, balancing respect for privacy with public fascination. Kurt's home, with its intimate artifacts on display, serves as a model for thoughtful commemoration that acknowledges both achievement and human vulnerability. The emotional weight carried by the mansion also deepens the cultural understanding of mental health issues. Kurt's story, memorialized there, encourages ongoing dialogue about support, empathy, and the complexities artists face in the public eye. The space fosters a more compassionate perspective on challenges often misunderstood or stigmatized. In a broader sense, the mansion kind of underscores the power of place, shaping memory, more or less. It anchors Kurt's legacy in a particular Seattle neighborhood and links his story to a city that's known for its musical heritage and the way that heritage sort of echoes. This geographical connection helps situate his influence not only in time, but also inside a community that embraced him and then was reshaped by his art bit by bit. For a lot of fans, the mansion feels like closure and like continued connection at the same time. It stands there as a reminder that even if Kurt's life was brief, his creative spirit stays present through the people who listen, who learn, and who pass his message forward. That physical remnant offers a spot to honor his accomplishments, but also the unanswered questions his life leaves behind, almost like they're still hanging around. The preservation and the stories that circle the home also show shifting attitudes towards celebrity and legacy in the digital age, when personal histories get shared widely, and quickly too. Kurt's mansion acts like a counterbalance, a quiet, tangible space that invites calm reflection, even when everything else is loud and in the noise of modern fandom. Ultimately, the mansion endures as a complicated sign: remembrance, inspiration, and a kind of encounter with the contradictions between talent and trauma. It keeps serving as a lasting witness to Kurt Cobain's life, so his story can resonate with fresh meaning for each new generation, even if they come in through totally different doors. And perhaps that is why the mansion continues to fascinate people decades later. It does not provide simple answers or neatly resolve Kurt's story. Instead, it preserves the feeling of a life interrupted, leaving behind traces of creativity, contradiction, and emotion that still invite reflection long after the music ended. The discoveries inside Kurt Cobain's mansion reveal a profound, multifaceted portrait of a man whose life and art continue to captivate the world. From intimate journals to powerful artifacts, each piece offers a deeper understanding of his struggles and enduring influence. If you found this exploration insightful, be sure to like and subscribe for more stories that go beyond the surface.